to our video today discussing how to import Excel files, XLSs.xls, into Wolfram Mathematica, a very useful tool that allows us to take advantage of Wolfram Mathematica's rich data manipulation and visualization tools. Now, in importing, we have a reserved keyword. The reserved word lets the program know that we're going to be taking advantage of the function import. Now, when we use this function, you'll notice immediately that we have the option to simply browse our files. However, for today's video, we're going to simplify things and take advantage of Wolfram Mathematica's documentation folder example data, which contains within it a population Excel file. When we import it, we see immediately that we have now our data, which was contained inside of the sheet. But this may not be the clearest way for us to view what we have. In this case, we'll call upon the grid function. And grid will allow us to view our data display the worksheet, the first worksheet, in a grid. Now let's say that instead of viewing just what we have here, or importing the entire Excel file, we want to import a specific row. So in order to import a specific row, once again, we're going to start with our basic import function, and we're going to add in the information that tells Wolfram Mathematica that we want a specific row. So here we'll go data, worksheet 1, and in this instance, let's do more than just one row. Let's pull in the first 4 rows. And there it is, the first 4 rows of data, as we can see from above, which imported the full Excel sheet. Now we've imported only the first 4 rows. Now let's say, well, the first 4 rows are useful, but what if I want to use the first 4 columns? Once again, we begin with a basic reserved keyword function, and we'll give Wolfram Mathematica more information. Again, it'll know that here we're pulling in data from worksheet 1. And here I want specifically the first column of the first 4 rows. So again, we have the first 4 rows. And here's the change. Now we include the column number. And here we have only the data imported from the first column of the first 4 rows. Say we wanted to do the second column. How might we do that? Well, easy. Instead of calling for column 1, we'll call for column 2. And here we have the data from column 2 of the first 4 rows. As you notice, this matches exactly what we've shown in our imports so far. Now let's say we want only one specific row. Well, that's easily done as well. Once more, we're going to call in our import function. And pardon me if I prefer copying in some of this information. There we go. Excellent. Now we're going to call just one specific row from our sheet. So once more, we give it our data path. This is always a path. If you're calling data, an Excel sheet, from your own system computer, you'll likely have a longer path. Don't worry about that though, as it's merely an instruction to our Wolfram Mathematica compiler that lets it know where it's going to locate the Excel file that you want to import. Here, once again, we choose sheet 1, and somewhat different from what we did prior, instead of adding in all the different rows, we're just going to call for one specific row, and there it is. And now that we've imported all of this data, we can see that we can manipulate this data the same way that we would any other numbers or sets of data that we would have otherwise had at our disposal inside of Wolfram Mathematica's programming. So again, here we'll go sheet 1, and there's a few little intricacies here to this list plot function. Of course, there's so much you can do in Wolfram Mathematica that it won't all be covered in a video simply on making data accessible to you from that. So here we're going to give them some labels. To axis label, well, what are we working with? We're working with countries and their populations, right? So let's label them as countries and populations. Remember that with any programming language, it's very important to include all of the right denoters, commas, parentheses, semicolons, whatever it is you're working with. In this case, I was missing a comma. And let's give that a good old run. And there it is, the data that we've imported from our file, which could be any Excel file that you have available to you, can be viewed in a grid. It can be imported with specific rows, specific columns, and specific combinations of rows and columns. And finally, once you've imported that data, it's available for you to manipulate and visualize, which is really what we want to get to when we're working with Wolfram Mathematica. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope that this has been a informative video helping you to import your Excel files and your Excel data into Wolfram Mathematica. My name is Edgar. I hope you have a great rest of your day or rest of your evening.